When Luigi Mangione walks back into the federal courtroom tomorrow, he will once again be surrounded by all the best lawyers that money can buy, and he gonna need them. He's fighting like a tiger to have critical evidence tossed out of his case. Evidence like the gun that was found in his backpack and the manifesto that was found in there too. Getting that stuff suppressed is an uphill battle. And he and his lawyers haven't even reached trial yet. So yeah, he is racking up the billable hours, just as he has been for almost a full year, because as I mentioned, tomorrow is the anniversary of the execution-styled murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. Cops say that's Luigi right there with the gun and the backpack and the hoodie. Literally a split second before Brian Thompson's shot in the back and executed. Every headline that fateful day screamed the same thing, that Brian was shot in the back by an assassin, murdered on a Manhattan sidewalk while on his way into that conference there, real early in the morning. 5 days later, Luigi was arrested, and in all of the months since, he's been fighting on 3 different fronts. Charges in Pennsylvania, where he was caught. State charges, right, in New York, where the killing happened. And federal murder charges that carry the death penalty. So yes, you can imagine that his legal fees have likely already stretched into the several hundreds of thousands. And though it is true, Luigi Mangione comes from a pile of money, his family is super rich, he has not had to hit up mom and dad, to our knowledge, to cover the legal bills. And maybe he won't ever have to, because he's got the December 4th legal committee for that. A group that came together just 2 days after the murder and just 3 days before the one and only suspect was busted. From the jump, that committee started fundraising, and as of last week, it raised $1.4 million from more than 37,000 donors nationwide. And if you are one of those donors, you might want to know exactly what you're paying for, where the money's going, how that fund is being managed, etc. So I am pleased to be joined by Sam Beard, who is the spokesperson for the December 4th Legal Committee. And not just the spokesperson either, you're the organizer too. Sam, I'm really appreciative that you're taking the time to speak with. You know what's so weird? I remember seeing an interview with you last year, Sam, and I think the same Christmas tree was in your backdrop. It's like literally, it's been almost a year to the day that you've been in the media talking about the fund. Did you have any idea a year ago that you'd be on with someone like me talking about $1.4 million?
No, I mean, I'm happy to be back at NewsNation, and thank you for having me on the show, Ashleigh. I hope you're having a great evening. Yeah. No, I mean, when we made the fund last year, we weren't sure what was going to happen with it. Obviously, we're happy that we can be able to help.
So some people watching will despise what you're doing, and some people watching will think of you as a hero for doing this. I'm going to just try to get right to the facts about the fund and about the efforts and where it's going. By the way, I said 1.4 million as of last week, but we all know Luigi's been in court for a couple of days this week, which means he's been back in the headlines. Is the amount different after last week? Has it gone up?
You know, it goes up every couple minutes, it seems, at this point. We've had about $15,000 of donations in the last 24 hours.
Wow. So who is behind the donations? Are you able to codify and categorize who these people are, who these 37,000 donors are?
Oh, sure. You know, one thing that I've learned from reading the tens of thousands of comments on Luigi's Defense Fund webpage is that his supporters come across the political spectrum. There's doctors, there's working class people, there's poor people, there's rich people. The median donation's right at about $20. But millions of hardworking Americans support him, not out of some lust for political violence, but out of respect for themselves and out of a deep love for others. They experience the corporate bureaucracies of the American healthcare system as cruel and maddening, experiencing powerlessness in the face of the unnecessary suffering, the unnecessary death of their loved ones. So for them, the condemnation of Luigi's acts as murder or assassination rings somewhat trivial when put beside the completely legal yet fundamentally unjust deaths that result from the healthcare claims that are denied every day in this country in the name of shareholder value.
So before I get to the morality of the defense fund for a guy that some would say, again, is a hero, others would say is nothing but a cold-blooded, vigilante murderer. I'm super curious about the disbursements, because a year ago, I remember you were answering a question about the lawyers for Luigi refusing to take the money from the fund. Where does that stand now?
Oh, I think that was probably a game of telephone. They didn't know about the money for a while. And then once, I think, I don't know, I was talking to Laura Coates over at CNN, and Luigi saw the hit of me on TV being like, we've got a bag of money with your name on it. We'd really like it if you could accept this. Reached out to his legal defense team. They reached out to us, and we were happy to make that connection, obviously. So back, I don't know, January of this year, made the connection with Tom Dickey, who was Luigi's first lawyer that he had out in Pennsylvania, and Tom seems to be handling the finances associated with all 3 pending criminal cases, and we're really grateful to make that connection. But the money's going to all 3 of his cases: federal, state, and Pennsylvania.
And so are his top lawyers part of the disbursements? Like I think it's Karen Agnifilo and her team. Are they being paid through the fund?
Absolutely, yes. I would imagine that there's all sorts of expenses that come up, whether it be experts that are being contracted or other people on the defense team. But yes, the money's going to his top lawyers.
And Sam, are you the guy writing the checks? Like, do they call you and say, well, we got to, this month our billable hours are, 200, so time to cut a check? Like, how does it work?
Thankfully not. I made pretty clear early on to Luigi's team that I did not want to touch the money. I'm not going to Venmo you $1 million. So we worked out a situation with GiveSendGo, who is the platform that we're hosting the fundraiser on, where they withdraw the funds directly from the platform.
So, and here are the tough questions, because I understand why. After the last year, I've certainly heard the argument a lot. And boy, at CrimeCon, it was such a fascinating discussion to hear. Half the folks in the audience of one of the, events that I did were, freaking out. They thought he was innocent, that it was a terrible travesty of justice, that he's even in the courtroom. But I understand why. I understand those who say, and you'll have to forgive my verbiage, but I think it was like, this is systematic murder that many of Luigi's supporters say Brian Thompson was helming, that the healthcare industry, by denying, kills people, and it's somehow codified and covered, and it's not considered illegal, and thus Luigi wanted to make the statement, and thus many of your supporters want to support him. On the other side of that coin, there is no other way of looking at this. It's black and white. It is vigilante social justice. How can that ever be considered worthy?
Well, Brian Thompson's killing seems to me, without a doubt, to be, to the average American, the most celebrated since that of Osama bin Laden's. And our job as storytellers is to ask, why? And that is because Americans understand that this is not a mere assassination, but it's tyrannicide. We have a word for this, which means a selfless killing of a tyrant whose power is beyond the reach of law in a virtuous act of self-sacrifice. Luigi Mangione is a hero, and everybody knows it.
Well, again, I think half of our audience, that's the beauty of this network. They come from all sides here, and they all debate, which is wonderful. I wonder how many of your supporters or your donors believe he's actually innocent, did not pull the trigger, and that they've got the wrong guy, versus the guy who pulled the trigger, but for a just reason.
I think the question that every Luigi supporter around the country is actually concerned with at the end of the day is, what would it take to make the events of last December 4 into a movement to build a more humane and healthcare system for America? So for the last year, we've been asking this question to donors to the fund, to people on Reddit and these Luigi subreddits, to medical professionals, to community organizers, scholars, and obviously amongst ourselves. So I'm happy to announce, and this is a NewsNation exclusive, your viewers are literally the first in the world to hear this, we have a forthcoming book depose Luigi Mangione and the right to health. I'm very happy to say that half the royalties will be donated directly to the legal fund. The other half will be used to support grassroots initiatives that seek to build a rational and dignified healthcare system. So the book, which is available for pre-order at illwilleditions.com, offers the beginning of this answer. We don't think that the struggle for the right to health in America will be answered from above. We think that it's going to have to happen from below.
Well, if it has the desired effect that Luigi, if he is the assassin, wanted, and I'm not suggesting that because everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Sam Beard, it's really good of you to take the time to talk to us about this. I hope you'll come back again and update us.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a great evening.
Thank you, too. Best of the holidays to you. I want to now bring in Mark Eiglarsh, good friend of the show, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor. So I want to get your take on all of that, Mark, because you and I have had conversations before about murder's murder. I've always had this expression, two things I know, puppies are cute, murder's bad. You can't, there's no gray area.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that guy, Sam Beard, that's his name, he is frightening. Because you could tell he's intelligent, he's articulate, and he has chosen to use his gifts, his passion, to help a murderer. Let's understand something here. Luigi Mangione did not start a revolution to help the challenges within the healthcare industry. He committed cold-blooded murder. And you were so nice with him, Ashleigh. I would have metaphorically wrung his neck with words to say that what the person that you're supporting, the $1.4 million that you've helped raise, is for a guy who made two teenagers lose their father. A devoted husband was slaughtered, and somehow not a single ounce of compassion at all for that man. It's disgusting and outrageous.
Listen, it's amazing. I mentioned CrimeCon before, and I'll bring it up again. I was in a room of about 1,000 in the audience, and I asked everybody to put up their hands. Who here thinks Luigi is getting exactly what's coming to him? And half the audience put up their hands. And I said, who here thinks that Luigi's unjustly being held and prosecuted? And another half put up their hands. And so I am very mindful of those out there who have either lost a loved one in the healthcare system and feel there's nothing that can ever be done and that there is a revolution needed. I'm with you on vigilante justice. I don't agree with it. But I'm also mindful of those out there, and you have to agree with it too. There are people who are hurting, who feel like there's got to be some way that change can be made in the healthcare industry, because doing what we're doing is insanity. It's the same thing over and over again with no result.
If I'm being intellectually honest, the discussion starts with, yeah, there's issues with the healthcare industry. But to bring that into a murder trial to justify the slaughtering, the first-degree cold-blooded murder of an innocent man is insane. I feel like I've been in a coma and I woke up and all of a sudden murder is okay if we just see who the victim is. I went online today, Ashleigh, to do some research for your program because I could not believe, I needed to see with my own eyes, that $1.4 million was raised for this guy. And then I read the comments. Some of them included comments like, quote, the injustice in your case is just outrageous, but your love for humanity is stronger than all their hate combined. Another person wrote, Luigi Mangione is a hero of our modern times. He's put his life on the line to bring awareness to the health insurance crisis in this country. Free this man. What the hell is going on, Ashleigh? So my argument to you the other day about stealth jurors, I now reemphasize times 100. Over 37,000 people donated to this murderer. You don't think there's going to be people intentionally trying to infuse themselves into the potential jury pool and then claim that they can be fair and try to hang up this jury? I'm petrified. I'm the one usually calming you down. I'm concerned about justice in this case.
Yeah, no, I have been very concerned about the stealth jurors. I think this case could be won or lost in jury selection for sure. I'm also very concerned about the precedent this might set for social warriors who say, if I do it, there'll be a fund waiting for me. And Luigi's case is that precedent. Mark Eiglarsh, as always, I love having you. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashleigh. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.